Show. By RJ's Pub. It's online from RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Here's Coach Kampe and the voice of the Golden Grizzlies, Neil Rule.
Well, they don't know Neil's not here tonight, I guess. You know, he's big timing us tonight in Washington with the Pistons. And they won. Now, I think they're 1-1 with him this year and 2-90 with Mark. So I'm sure he's trying to figure out how to get that job now. I don't know. I'm supposed to go, good evening, everybody, or something like that, right? So, yeah. So Jeff Smith, associate head coach, is with me tonight. We're going to try and do a together without a host, and maybe this will go so well that maybe, yeah. So we are at RJ's Pub, and everybody comes in here, eats, and enjoys it, and being on Monday, New Year's on Monday, and all that. So we're going to go back to the first segment today. We're just going to talk about what's happened since the last time we were game. We could get that game.
Yeah, I think that this is probably the most confident that we have been, maybe other than when we had Jamal, is that we were going to be able to go in and have a great chance to win. And they got themselves right a couple of days earlier against Baylor, and they carried that thing into the Breslin Center against us 2 days later. But we've turned the corner, that's for sure.
Yeah, we just weren't shooting very well, and again, without Neil here, there will be some of those noises, right? So maybe we do need him. I don't know, but early in the season, we weren't shooting the ball very well, and we felt really comfortable that when we get that figured out, that we do believe we have a team that can shoot the basketball. I think we have 3 guys that can, on any night, could make 6 or 7 threes in Lampman, Golke, and Cole. And then Townsend can make threes, and Chris Conway can actually make him. He's just got to make one. And then maybe he'll turn one down in the Northern Kentucky game late in the game that I wasn't happy about, but he's just got to get some confidence. But anyway, so we start league play at Cleveland State, and we probably were coming off. I gave them 4 days off at Christmas, which is the longest we've ever given anybody off. We did practice Christmas night, but our last game was on the 21st, I think. So they got the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, and then all day the 25th off. Came in Christmas night, and I was very concerned about, when you get that long off, it goes one of 2 ways. So Cleveland State probably had that long time off too, but they came out and played very well. We probably played the worst half of basketball at Cleveland State in the first half of. I can't, over 40 years, I can't remember playing as poorly as we played in a half at Cleveland State. But this team is special. And it came out the second half, and we just didn't have it, but we got back in the game. We did all the things that we needed to do. We just couldn't make the clutch play at the right time and ended up losing that game. And then we went in the locker room, and I'll let you talk more about that.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a turning point for our was last year. We just weren't healthy, and this year we felt going into it kind of like we did the Michigan State game, that we were ready and we were prepared to really be able to do this.
Hold on, Smitty. They say they don't hear you very well. Where did she go? Okay.
You keep talking.
I did not do this on purpose. No, I did not do this on purpose. We got him? You got him back? No? All right. So, anyways, Cleveland State, we have not lost since. And post game, I think we had a heart to heart. It wasn't the coach screaming and yelling. It was, we had such a good beginning to the season, the Ohio State, the Illinois, and then we played really well without Lampman. And we just felt when Blake got back that this could be, a special year. And then it didn't go as well as we wanted it to go. And I just think that, we lost our focus defensively. Are you on now?
I don't know. Can you hear me now? A little bit better? So you keep going.
So we lost our focus defensively, I think, and if this team's going to reach its goals and its the things that they want to reach, we're going to have to do it at the defensive end. So after Cleveland State, we went to Youngstown, and we were down 3 or 4 at halftime, and we probably played the best half of basketball we've played all year. And that's saying something when you look at what we've done at some of the places we did, what we did at Xavier and what we did at Illinois and, 3/4 of the game in Ohio State. But we shot the ball really well. But we figured out defensively how to stop them after just not being able to guard them at all in the first half. And we found a way to win that game. And I thought the locker room after the Youngstown game, you could just sense that, okay, this is how we have to win. And from that point on, I think we've played winning basketball. We haven't played great basketball. We've nowhere near played as well as I believe we're capable of playing. And that's a good sign because we don't want to do that now. We want to do that in the end of February, March. That's when we want to be playing our best basketball.
I think in that locker room at Youngstown, the Cleveland State situation, it was a tough one, but I think it was a very eye-opening experience for our guys. And I'm not so sure sometimes when you play so well against Ohio State, Illinois, and you beat Xavier that you don't feel a little bit like maybe, okay, we've got this figured out. And the Cleveland State game was definitely a slap in the face, a reality check. But the things that Blake Lampman said in the locker room and during the second half of our game at Youngstown, he talked about his experience of being there, not having ever won at Youngstown in his career, and how you have to do this. And he kept telling our guys during the second half, those guys don't want to do it. They're worried about the wrong things. We can step up and do this. And for us to do that, it's almost like it was just a boost of confidence for our guys. And then, we've carried it over. And as Coach said, we've been playing winning basketball. We make mistakes. We're not perfect. It doesn't always look great at times. But at the end of games, the other night was at home against Northern Kentucky is a perfect example. We missed 9,000 free throws in a row. And then when it comes down to the end of the game, when it really matters, we make them all. And that's what great teams do, right? That's the whole thing. And I told her, after he got done talking to our guys against Northern Kentucky, I asked if I could say something because I told our guys, think about the last 7 days. You won a game 100-95, and then you just won a game 70-65 in overtime. And the best teams I've ever been around could do that. It doesn't. We've all coached really good teams that could beat you 55-50 night in, night out, night in, night out. But the nights when they couldn't get to 55, they got beat, or 100-90 all year long. To be able to do both says a lot of the way we are structured, the depth that we have, and the way in which we have a willingness to win.
And I do think also that if you look at how we've won, when I say we're not playing our best basketball, we look at, Milwaukee, pretty good lead. They came back at the end of the game, and we found a way to close it out. We took a really bad shot with 1:40 to go, and we haven't allowed mistakes to end the game for us. We've figured it well. We couldn't get the ball in the Green Bay game.
Green Bay and Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, we couldn't get the ball in on it, against the press late when we were holding on to leads. And yet we didn't let that bother us. We went and played that possession of defense and got a stop. I just really like that. I like that, we've been able to figure it out. Northern Kentucky is a perfect example. We struggled. We were down double digits in the second half. We came back. We took the lead, and it looked like we had it won. And then we made a couple of errors. Couldn't make a shot. They got it tied. We came down and got a jump ball called, and we didn't have possession. And it was their ball with 26 seconds to go in a tie game. And we went man-to-man. And when we went man-to-man, we got a switch, and we got Trey Townsend on their guard, and Trey chipped it away from him. We got the ball out of bounds. I'm not really sure it was our ball, but we got a break. And you have to get breaks like that. You have to be fortunate. You have to be lucky. And so they didn't even get a shot off, and it was a guard on Trey. And we've worked on that, and he got a stance, and he guarded. And so we're winning games the hard way. And now we go to IUPUI Saturday, and I'm very, very concerned about, because this is a trap game, right? They're 1-5 in the league. They've not been very good for 2 or 3 years. A year ago, we went there and Jalen Moore pulled it out of the fire for us with an unbelievable shot that sent it to overtime. In a game we probably should have lost. And they, again, our leadership, Blake and Trey, talked to him about that. And we went into that game as focused as we could be. And we got off 11-0. Got it out to 20 points at halftime. Kept it pretty much at 20. They made a little run late because we didn't handle their pressure very well. And then we got it right back to 20. So, we're winning games in different ways. We're staying focused. We're handling adversity extremely well. And those are good things. It's really good. Again, though, it's the sign of an older team, right?
No doubt. I mean, and you look across the board at these teams that are winning in college basketball, and they're all older. But when you've got guys who are in their 5th year and 6th year that we do, and when you get to that point in your career, a lot of things that were really important to you when you were maybe 18, 19, 20 years old, they're not important anymore. Older guys, they just care about, they just want to win. And Blake Lampman cares about winning as much as anybody I've ever been around. And the other guys, I mean, Rocket Watch right now, in the time we've been with him, he has never been more focused, more energized, and more locked in on a daily basis than he is. And, those, again, are all really, really good signs for us as coaches, I think.
Yeah, and you say that, and it's also really enjoyable to go to practice every day, right?
Every day. And that's one thing that has not changed since we started in early July with this group, and then we did the thing where we went to Italy. We spent a lot of time on the practice floor with this team for it to only be January 15th, and it is really, really great every day to walk into that building and go down that floor with them. Always have a career, and to have these guys be around them every day, it's awesome.
All right, so we're going to go. Yes. Okay, we're going to go to break. When we come back, what we want to do something different is we want to go through how we scout the teams. And we're going to take all 10 teams in the league, and we're just going to get scout on each one of them, where they're at, what they do against, what our fear is against when we play them, and what we're trying to accomplish. One of the reasons I want that is because, we've heard a lot of, teams are shooting the ball, why is this guy open and that? And yet, when you go and look at it, we're winning the game, and I'll give you what's the kid at Green Bay's name?
Reynolds.
Noah Reynolds, right? We gave Green Bay some open looks, but we held Noah Reynolds to single digits, I believe. He had 31 in their win against Cleveland State, who's supposed to be the best man-to-man defensive team in our league, right? He got 31 against them the other night. He got like 8 against us. There's different ways to win. It's not no team is be able to guard everybody, and if you don't double and you don't show their, it did to Cleveland State. They beat Wright State at Wright State. He had 36-39. And so we believe the way to beat Green Bay is to take him out of the game. And it worked. Now, when you do that, when you have 2 guys on one guy, there's going to be somebody that's open. And they had a freshman that came into the game shooting 29% from the 3 that went 5 for 10. Well, I might be able to go 5 for 10 too if I'm getting those clean looks that he was getting. And people then say to me afterwards, well, how is that guy wide open? Well, that was by design. So let's go to break. Let's come back and we'll go through the league.
This is the Greg Kampe Show, live from our Grizzlies.
Oh boy.
I watched. I picked it up like 6 minutes ago. What do I need to talk about? Excuse me, I'm going to say it now. I didn't know you guys wanted anything else. That's an
I'm not a piston, but I'm running on all cylinders. I am having and we've got official team physicians of the Detroit Pistons. And visit henryford.com/team talks.
With OU Credit Union Visa Signature Credit Card, you'll enjoy
Hello.
receive
We good?
Great thing leads to another. And that's especially true when you visit a great flip salon. When you sit down for a haircut with a skilled friend.
20 seconds.
Or when you meet great flip slip patrons. And they'll not only make your hair look great, they'll make you feel great too. And that's something we can't help but share with the world. Download your online checkout app today and opt into get a money next text when you're up next. Great clips. It's gonna be great.
All right, let's start at the bottom of the league. I'll say a few words and then I'll let you talk about our scouting report on each one. Okay, so we'll start with Detroit. They're 0-7, 0-18. I think that's a big surprise. I talked to Mike before the games started, and he felt pretty good about some of his new guys, but he's had a couple injuries, and we know how injuries can derail everything. I don't know. Stone is back. Stone is one of the best guards in the league. He missed a bunch of games, and that hurt them badly. He did play in our game. Their first half against us, I thought they played an outstanding game. We were coming off our Xavier win, and obviously the Detroit-Oakland game's a little different, means a little bit more to everybody. So going into that game, we felt we had to stop Stone, and we had to rebound because the big guys were hurt. They're not real big, and it's a game that was a little bit Xavier, and for us to win against Xavier and against Ohio State and Illinois and those schools, we had to play at a very slow pace. And so we went into the Detroit game thinking, okay, this is how we need to play, and that was a very ugly, slow game. Since then, we've learned at our level against our league and in the mid-major league, if we're going to be successful, we got to play at a fast pace, which was what we thought going into the season that we needed to play. We were scared, though, because of our point guard situation. When Tom got hurt this summer, getting the ball up the floor quickly might be an issue for us. So we played Detroit a little bit different than we played anybody else in the league. And in the second half, before we subbed, they had only scored like 4 points with 4 minutes to go in the second half because they really struggled to score.
Yeah, and I think that it's shown that it's just kind of who they are. It's as good a player as Stone is, and he's very, very good. They don't shoot the ball exceptionally well from outside the three-point arc, and they don't have size, where obviously everyone here knows the last 5 years they had one of the most electric scoring guards in the history of college basketball. And he was himself, and as Coach talked about, when you're trying to game plan for Antoine, he left other guys open. And where a year ago they did a great job of putting guys who could make shots around him, they don't have guys that can make shots at a high level. And they certainly don't have anybody who can throw it to inside that can go get you 20 or 10 free throws. And I'm not sure they've really identified who they want to be defensively either. And that's probably a lot of reason why they're 0-18.
Yeah, I think they're struggling with that defensively because he wants to play zone, but without size, it's hard. We learned last year without size, it's hard to play any kind of zone. IUPUI, we beat on the road by 20 on Saturday, which anytime you win a road game in your league, you got to feel great. When you win by 20, you really feel good. As I said, I thought we were really focused and we played a very, very good game on the road. We went into that game with the belief that, we want to score as many points as we could. We wanted the game to be as fast as we could. They're not a great three-point shooting team, but they're a really good driving team. And we were very If you really sit and watch us, and maybe as you watch the rest of our games, the first half in our games, other than the Fort Wayne game where they just came out and made everything, in Dayton, when they came out and made everything, our first half defense is usually in the 20s. All right, teams really struggle against the zone, especially when it's the first time they've seen it. What's going to work for them? And then they get frustrated with it because the defense is really set up. So our zone is really designed to stop ball screen. And once they find out that's not going to work, or they're not getting the shots they want, or the other thing I think we do great in it is we take the best player out. what they end up doing in the second half, and you see this a lot, is spread the floor and drive it at us. Especially they know Lampman's injured, and they try and isolate Lampman and drive him. Lampman's guarding. And so we were really fearful of IUPUI because that's what they're good at. They got a really good little point guard, and their two guard is an all league level player in counter. And so, Smitty had that game as his game plan, and he told me as we sat down and prepped for the game that this was his biggest fear. This is not take this team lightly because they can do what we struggle with, and that's guard the ball man to man.
Yeah, they present problems because they get into the paint and they can shoot pull-up jump shots and make them. It's the most difficult shot in the game. He goes crazy when guys shoot pull-ups, and rightfully so, because it's the lowest percentage shot that there is. It's the reason why guys like Kevin Durant get paid the money they get paid, why Iverson got paid the way he got paid, because it's such a hard shot, and you've got to be elite to do it. They got three guys that can all make those 15-foot pull-ups. And the one thing that he touched on, because they drive, and what they haven't done in the past is they get to the free throw line and they make it. They lead the league in free throw percentage, and they get there. So for us, we didn't know we weren't going to have Chris and Coop, so it's like then you go to the game, you don't have two guys in your interior, so now you're worried about taking a rebound. We foul on the rebounds, and then all of a sudden our depth gets threatened. And so, they're very dangerous. They're going to beat somebody that they shouldn't beat. They can beat anybody else they want, just not us. But those guards, especially counter, he's an elite level guy. I mean, if he went into the portal right now, he's going to end up. He's from Oklahoma. He's going to end up in Oklahoma State or Tulsa or Oklahoma or somewhere like that. I mean, he's a high level dude, and they're much better than they've been. And they're a problem. And they're gonna catch somebody on a night, and they've been so close in their building. That was what scared me probably more than anything. The prep was. You look at every one of their home conference games. They got drilled at Wright State when Wright State had to win a game. They got drilled at Robert Morris when Robert Morris was 0-4 and had just been embarrassed. You see that. But they had been in single digits. They had been they were up 12 in the first half against Green Bay. And so they've got it in them. So you have to be ready to go, and you have to do it for 40 minutes. And you're playing in a building that I think Colin said he counted the bodies when pregame introductions were done. There was like 137 people there. So you're playing in a really, really bad atmosphere. It's not like being in our place where there's energy and electricity. And so all of that can be a recipe for disaster, and our guys handled it right.
Yeah, and it was cold and hard bus trip there. It took forever to get there because we drove right through the storm on Friday. So like I said, I was really, really pleased with how we went about that game. Not see them for 2 more weeks, so honestly, I've watched them twice, maybe 3 times. I think they're a dangerous, dangerous team. They proved that by beating Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne pummeled us. So, I think that Andy's a hell of a coach, and that will not be easy, either one of those games. So, you done any prep on them yet?
Or? Yeah, just in watching them, they've got a kid named Corbin who can really, he shoots it at a high level. He shoots it off the dribble, he shoots it off the catch. And where they've improved a little bit is top kid, top shots. The Corbin kid really shoots it at a high. It was very good. From what I've seen when they play, they seem to like each other. They seem to play much more connected.
Playing really well for him. It's his 3rd school. He started at Butler, and then he went to Western Michigan. Now he's there for his senior season. The next team, which is a little surprising that they're in about them 17 consecutive home games, and 2 of those are us. Cleveland's got an elite player in Enurama, whatever. Guard Louder, and then they've got maybe the best athlete in the league in Hill. And they're a team that, I mean, when Vegas decides who's going to win our league and we get to the tournament, unless they are not at home, they'll be, if they get in the top 4, they're going to probably be a pick for easily to they may be the number 1 pick in the league. They're going to trip up there for everybody is going to have a say on how well they do. Wright State went up there and lost both. And you think Wright State and Cleveland State would be in that conversation. So that trip up there, and it's coming up for us next week, is going to be really, really. Kentucky, you had that scout, right?
Other coach for doing anything, but now we start. It's part of what we do. It's an unfortunate circumstance. That team is very, very, and they're very tough, and they know how to play. And I think they've struggled with losing Vincent, but I think they're holding on to that a little bit too much, in my opinion, because they got enough good guys. They missed Vincent because he, without question, was one of the players. And the difference between eighth is not going to be much. And one of it's going to be the Wisconsin trips. I think people that go up there, anybody that wins 2 is way ahead of the pack. And it's split there. You go up there and get a split, you're going to feel pretty good if you want to try to be in the top 4. And going up to Wisconsin, if you can get a split, you'll be right there where they want to be.
They rebound out of 2. Now, losing Vincent, while he's such a great player, he also was like in the top 10 in the country in steals years. I mean, he just, in that zone, he's a tremendous zone defender. He runs through passing lanes, and it hurts their offense because they get a lot of steals that get easy baskets. You're seeing that out of our zone this year that you didn't see it last year. We're getting a lot of run-through passing lanes, steal the ball, and Isaiah's dunking or Rockets, out there. And that's when defensively you're good, when you get those types of plays. And I think Northern overtime, we hold Warwick to 6 points. And I think he got 5 in overtime. So it was an easier prep for us without Vincent. But as they figured out, like L.J. Wells for them had 15 rebounds and 14 points. If he can do that on a consistent night, then they found something that when Vincent gets back next. One more to break, Fort Wayne. You also, Fort Wayne, I'm going to tell you that I thought that was the best half of basketball, maybe the best game of basketball that I've ever seen a team play against Oakland, and that includes all of North Carolina that half they played against us a few years ago, and when Felder was here. That they're an elite shooting team, and that hurts our zone. It really does, and it's a scary proposition. They've beaten us 4 times in a row. I told him after the game, I said to him, I go, you guys should really rent or play your home games in, because they better than any team. They shoot better than we do. It's unbelievable how they play here. We've lost 2 here and 2 there, right? No, have they beaten us 4 times in a row? 3. Okay, but twice here, and the one at their place was an overtime game. But here they smacked us pretty good. So the problem, and you'll say, okay, if they scare you in the zone, why don't you guard man to man then? Well, that's a hell of a question. And the answer is because we can't. Because they've got some dry, and we just don't have enough on-ball defenders, and that's why we play the zone. And so it's going to be a really tough game for us when we go to Fort Wayne. It will be. I think their ceiling, I'm not counting Oakland when I talk. I think their ceiling is the highest in the league. When they play their best game, I think they're the best team in the league. The question is, and I've talked to their coach about it, because he asked after the game, he asked, "I really mean that, or was I just saying it?" And I told him I really meant it. I said, the only question you have is, can you score a night, or can you win on the nights the ball doesn't go in? And to win a championship, you have to be able to do that. And they had a tough trip. They've lost 3 in a row. They went from 4-0 to 4-3, and from that would be a determining factor. But I definitely think they're one of the top 4 teams in the league.
No question. That to be able to shoot the ball at all 4 perimeter spots, the only team that probably is equally or more talented offensively is Wright State, because they can do it at all 5.
Right.
And but they don't shoot it like that at all 5. Those 4 guys that they put on the perimeter, they got a 5-man that doesn't care about anything other than running to the rim to rebound and setting screens, and running to the rim to try to catch and dunk it if they happen to throw it to them. But those other 4 dudes can really, really do it offensively.
All right, we ready for break?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to break.
All right, we will be back here after a moment. We are live from RJ's Pub with the Greg Kampe Radio Show.
Neil better watch out. Good job.
Neil's in trouble.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Yeah, 3. I say 3. I don't know if you double 3.
We'll do the segment.
Quarter airlines, $20 off.
Is this worth it hearing, or is this what we're talking about?
Yeah. Oh.
And I looked at it.
Yeah.
I had like destination things too. Las Vegas.
Out of Canada? Out of Porter?
Went to Ann Arbor. Way after like 9. Yeah, they were, it wasn't any, when we went out to park, we were out all the time, so we just went, so, all my kids, I go, hey, lunch is good. So, I'm out there, so we got. One way.
Okay, we're back, and we're going to finish this now. We've got lost where I'm at in the standings. Wright State. Wright State's 4-3. They're a game out of first, and I don't think there's any question. Maybe Calhoun at Youngstown might argue with me that when I say the best starting five in the league, I think Wright State might have the best starting five in all of mid-major basketball. They've got, Trey Calvin is Player of the Year candidate in our league. Tanner Holden is Player of the Year candidate in our league. Noel was the Freshman of the Year, and a 6 kid that can score at all 3 levels. The number 12, AJ Braun, is 6'9", and he's really, really good in post and can score in there. And then the number 3 is playing.
Andrew Wells, he just shoots it, and he gets to shoot a lot of open ones because of the guys he's playing with.
So they lead the nation in field goal percentage. They are averaging 86 or 85 points a game. And if you remember back 10 years ago, that's who we were. We'd average 84, 85 points a game, be one of the top scoring teams in the country and one of the top field goal percent teams in the country. And when we struggled defensively at times, and they are too. But, again, they're the last team we play. We'll have played Milwaukee, Green Bay, Northern Kentucky, and Youngstown. 4 of the teams we'll be done with before we ever see them. So, I watch them. I watch their Youngstown game, obviously, as we prep for Youngstown, and I see how good they are. I have not looked at the analytics or their numbers to see why they're giving up so many points. It could just be a function of how many possessions they're playing. That their defense is pretty decent, but they're playing at 85 possessions. So we'll get more into that. Anything you want to say about them, Steve?
No, I think that I could see where Calhoun would say that, because I think his starting five does try to guard more than Wright State. Watching Wright State enough, they know they're going to score points. I think that what hurt them against Youngstown the other day was it's been so easy for them, and it was pretty easy for them a long time that night. And Youngstown made it hard for them. They couldn't score at ease. Things got away from them very, very quickly. And so, with them, you just got to do the best you can to guard them, make it as hard as you can. We beat them twice last year because at the end of the day, we were able to really guard them and make it hard. And then we made enough plays on the offensive end that we got out of there with a win. And so they're good. They're like all these other teams. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night in anybody's gym.
Very little difference. Milwaukee's next. You saw Milwaukee. We beat them 100-95. It was the longest game maybe ever played in regulation, and the arena was 75 free throws. It's a physical team. BJ Freeman is, again, he's their possible Player of the Year in the league. He had just gotten back from injury. They're 4-2. They have not lost at home either. And so, that, like we said, that trip's going to be really a war up there. Play a style where they get down a lot early and then they come back and win games. And they've done that since Bart's been the coach there. They press, they cause you trouble, they wear you out, they run 10 people at you, and they find a way to keep it themselves in the game, and then they try and beat you in the last 5 minutes. And the good for us is we were able to hang on when they came after us late in the game. We were able to hang on and make all the plays, and that's the game that Isaiah Jones made all the free throws down the stretch, and we handled that press pretty well.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Milwaukee, it's another example of beating like we were talking about with Northern Kentucky. BJ Freeman gets hurt, comes out, and they got a kid that's a transfer from Texas A&M who was played in the. I mean, when we played Milwaukee, it was like the Jayhawk Junior College reunion between coaches and the players that were in that game. And this kid went to Texas A&M, didn't play much, and then when Freeman got hurt, they inserted him in the starting lineup. In the games when Freeman was out, he averaged 25 points a game. And then they got rid of a guard named Browning, and all of a sudden now Pulliam was getting shots. So the two guys that got their opportunities because of changes in their personnel have stepped up, and that's why they're scoring the way they are, because they play at such a fast pace, and they've got three guys that are they're elite level scorers individually. So it makes it really hard. You saw what happened. We did a great job taking Freeman out of the game. We doubled him all over the floor, but then that left Pratt and Pulliam open at times. And we made a couple of mistakes in our coverages, but to their credit, they got open looks and they knocked it down. And it says a lot about their individual talent on that team.
One of my best memories of this season is going to be during that Milwaukee game while they were shooting the free throw because it was late in the game, so it was down at their end. They're shooting a free throw down at their end, and BJ comes and he's kind of walking around and he stops right in front of me and he looks at me and goes, "Why you got to do that to me, coach?" And I looked at him and I go, "Because you're really good, man. So you're not going to get any shots. So just pass the ball." Green Bay. I think this is a big week for Green Bay. Green Bay goes and Milwaukee. They both go to Northern Kentucky and Wright State this week. And so, this is for them, this is the trip that all the other teams, this is the big down for them against the two of the top teams in the league year in and year out at the top. And I'm sure they're thinking if they can get one of the two or both of them, then they're going to win the league. And so that's just the mindset we think as you look at schedules and you look at time game falls, the time of the season that the games fall. So they're going to find out. I think Green Bay's proven they're real. They've proven that they are real. And Noah Reynolds is a tremendous player, and he kind of willed them to win against Cleveland State. But the play of that game was they came back and got a 3-point lead and had one possession. If Cleveland State gets a stop there, you don't know what's going to happen. And they had a freshman 6'10" kid make a three. And the place went nuts. And Green Bay, they're a good basketball team. They got a couple guys that can really shoot it, and they got a great player.
Yeah, and I thought, the game for me when I was prepping for IUPUI and watched Green Bay at IUPUI and they got down by 12 or 14 in the first half. Green Bay in years past would have just folded, and IUPUI would have gotten a major upset in our league. And the difference with this team, and I don't know, maybe it comes from their coach and the energy that he provides, but they play differently. They play for 40 minutes, and they don't waver, and they don't get rattled. And so it's again going up there and beating them. We're fortunate we got those two wins here against Milwaukee and Green Bay. And if we can do that up there, we are way ahead of the curve.
Youngstown State, that's our opponent on Wednesday night. And, I said after we won the game at Youngstown, they had a 15-game winning streak, and we broke it. I said, I think they're the best team in the league. I still believe that, if we played all these games on a neutral floor, that, I would think of the other 10 teams, they would be the least team I'd want to play. Part of it is because I think they're really tough. Part of it is they got some guys that don't care, that they're going to talk to you. They're going to try and embarrass you. They're going to take your lunch money, and they're going to laugh at you when they do it. And, they're a very, very physical, tough team. When we got that win, I told our team, this is a big win. This is a big hurdle to clear because most teams aren't going to come in here and win. And so it's like when the Lions opened the season and beat Kansas City, you felt really really good in the divisional play that Green Bay's not going to go in there and win, and Minnesota's not going to go in there and win, and Chicago's not going to go in there. So it's a one-up on all the other teams. And that's how I felt. Now, Wednesday night, we give that back if they beat us, right? We give that back. And that's why Wednesday is such an important game. It's only January. It's not important in that, oh, wow, we go from first to second, or, you just can't think that way. You've got to understand it's one game and it only counts one. But if we get it, all right, if we get it, that's going to be a one-up on everybody else, all the other teams vying for those top 4 spots. And then the biggest part of it, we can get it Wednesday, is we know Youngstown's going to be one of the top teams, right? We hold tiebreaker then. We hold the tiebreaker. So let's say we all tie. Well, you go, well, what's your record against each other? And we start 2-0, and nobody else is going to be 2-0 against them. And so that's how you win tiebreaker, the third, or you made the way up to 1. And so that's why this game is so important on Wednesday night. If we lose it, we're 1-1 against them, right? And it's not death. It's not the end of it. It's not we can't. But if we win it, it gives us such an advantage. We go to break. The last break, this is right now. There are 4 teams with 2 losses. 2 of us are tied with 6 wins. Oakland, Green Bay is 6-2, and then Youngstown is 5-2, and Milwaukee's 4-2. If you take those teams, those 4 teams, right now, the top 4 in the league, Milwaukee is 1-2 against those 4 teams. Green Bay is 2-1. Oakland is 3-0, and Youngstown is 0-1. So as we look at tiebreakers and as we look at standings, that's what's important. We're 3-0. So it's not so much where you're at in the standings right now. It's the teams that are up there with you. How have you done against them, right? And that's why we're sitting in good position. When you say you're in position, yes, we are. But that's the reason why, not because we're sitting on top of it, because we're not even halfway through. We're 2 games away from being the halfway point. And it's the way the schedule's set this year, it's a weird halfway, because when we hit the halfway point, we'll have played Green Bay twice, Youngstown twice, and we won't have played Robert Morris or Wright State. So I'm just trying to explain it all to you. We're going to go to break, and maybe you didn't understand any of that. Sometimes I don't understand any of it. So,
well, if you don't understand, you can always hashtag Ask Kampe. Answer those questions in the next section after we get back here from the Greg Kampe Radio Show live at RJ's Pub.
I know, I said it recently. Oh, okay.
All right, we're back, and we are going. I'm not very good. I don't like this. We're back. Thank you. I like this. I just like answering questions. So we're going to that segment now. Kampe says, and I'm going to give Smitty some of them. There's only 4 or 5, but the first one I don't like, so I'm going to take that one myself. Big Daddy. Somebody named Big Daddy.
You sure you want to read this one?
What is that? Big Daddy what?
Big Daddy Dirk.
Dirk. Big Daddy Dirk with a, what flag is that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyways, Big Daddy wants to know, what is it about this roster that's creating such success? On paper, not the most impressive, but the results have been good. Well, Big Daddy, I think our damn roster looks pretty good on paper. I mean, at the jump ball on every team we play in our league, and who's the biggest, strongest team out there? And we haven't played Wright State yet. But even Youngstown, who is a big physical team, we're bigger and stronger than they are. You know, we put Isaiah Jones at the 3. He's pretty damn good, and at all the little things. So I think Trey Townsend, you know, I sit here and talk about player of the year, and every team in the league got their guy. Well, Trey's ours, and if I had a vote right now, the fact that we are in first, I would say Trey Townsend's the player of the year in this league. We're a long way from that being official, but all coaches are going to say their guy is, and I'm going to say ours is. So we have a guy who is in the hunt or in conversation about being player of the year in the league. Surely, if you know, one of the best 5 players in the league, so he's a first-team all-leaguer. You got Blake Lampman, who's having an unbelievable season, considering he's fighting injury and all the things he's gone through. I think he's an all-level player. Rocket Watts is a tremendous talent. Chris Conway has turned himself into, you know, name a guy that's a 5 that's better than he is in our league.
Right, and I think that's exactly right. I don't know if you had a chance to see. I don't want to answer your question for you, but I don't know if you had a chance.
Yeah,
to
you do.
Yeah, I did, because I don't know if you had a chance to read the analytics report we got today. One of the things that this company that we use, they broke down our lineups, and then they go through and they run all the lineups and where we have success. And the biggest takeaway I took from it today, I know you'll see it tonight, but like the greatest compliment that he could have given us, and it wasn't a compliment because he was just sharing information, was our depth has been a huge impactful thing for us this year. And there are a group of guys put on the floor, and it doesn't matter who the 4th and 5th guy are, or, you know, when we put the certain 5 out there, but the 9 guys that we play, it has shown statistically and analytically that our depth is paying huge dividends. And that's not by accident.
And I do think, you know, a lot of criticism the last couple of years is that we, you know, I never sub and those types of things. And in part, that's true because we're going to play our best players, and we only felt the last couple of years that we had 6 guys. And then we got injured and that. And now this year, the fact that we do, one of our focuses in recruiting was that we have to be able to go, I never said 9 deep, but we have to be able to go 8 deep. And right now, we're actually going as 10 deep at times. And it makes us better defensively when we do that. Our size and our length has changed us defensively, but also the fact that the zone we play is it's a thinking zone, but it's a critical zone that you have to play hard. There's got to be pressure on the ball in our zone. And when you can substitute guys, now I still got to get Trey more minutes on the bench. Hard to do when he's. I got to get Lampman more minutes on the bench, but for the most part, you know, we got 9 guys averaging double-figure minutes, which that's never happened in my coaching career. 40 years, it's never happened. 8 we've done, not very often. Usually it's 7. We've got 9 guys, and I think that has a lot to do with why the results have been good. And Big Daddy, it's okay, man. I'm just telling you a little bit. You know, I don't like the question because those are my guys, right? I think it's a damn good roster.
think if you got a name like Big Daddy, you don't lack confidence, you'll be okay.
All right. Okay, so this question, I'm going to let you answer. Ask Kampe, what was the vibe in the locker room? What's the vibe in the locker room now that you're on a 5-game win streak? How does it differ from being on a simple 1 or 2 game streak?
You know, that's a great question, because you would think that it would be different based upon how things are going. But one of the things that is just fantastic about this group is that they're the same. You know, I'm not saying some guys don't have bad days, or, you know, a couple guys might not feel great, and on some days guys feel better. But overall, it's become a tradition now in our locker room, but the staff locker room is right across the hall from our players. And, you know, after practice, the guys go lift. You know, we go do our thing. Usually, I come back from working out, take a shower, and by the time I do it, there's about 4, 5, 6 guys that are in the locker room, and they have a sing along every day. They've got music playing, they're singing, and that's been that way whether we won a game, lost a game, because this group is very, very connected. As Coach talked about, they're mature because they're older. They're mature because they've been through so much. But this is the most consistent group of guys I think that I can ever remember being around in all the years that I've done this. And the vibe is great. It's always been great. Sure, when you win, it's easy for things to be good. But this group of guys, they've been the same since they got here in July.
And we've preached that to them, because when you do win 5, 6, 10, hopefully 12 in a row, the things that you're doing well start to deteriorate. There's an erosion of in practice as coaches. We're doing this so well, let's work on this because we're not doing this well. And that's a big mistake by a coach. You've got to continue. The reason you're winning is because you're doing those things well. So you've got to stay on, and you got to continue to do that. And I think our leadership, and I really challenged our leaders after the Cleveland State game. I really challenged them. And I think they've been unbelievable. The enthusiasm, you're all welcome to come watch practice. I'd love for you to come watch practice. I think you'd be amazed at, you know, it's the middle of January, and as Smitty said, we've been going at it a long time. And to see the enthusiasm that's out there is one of the reasons things are going well for it. And that doesn't mean that we couldn't go on a 3-game losing streak. Sure, we could. But I feel a lot better if that happens of being able to get out of it with this group. Okay, so Marty in Pittsburgh, briefly question. It was great seeing the Youngstown game. He came over for that game. He'll be at the Robert Morris game. He's actually donating to our program. If you're listening, Marty, and I embarrassed you, I'm sorry, but we really appreciate your, you know, jumping on the Oakland bandwagon and driving the bus of it too. So I know that a job of a college coach never ends. What does a typical day look like from the time you get up to the time you go to bed? Can you walk us through what you did today?
No chance, Marty.
Marty, you want to know? I'll tell you what I did today. So every once in a while, I like to get away, right? So I spent the afternoon at a cigar bar playing cards with a group of guys. And so I don't smell very good today, probably. But, you know, I think there, as a coach and as players, you've got to have time away. It's a good question, because we started in September, right? So we don't have a weekend off or a free day until we lose that last game in March. And then we don't have that anymore because of the transfer portal. You know, now the portal kicks in, and now, you know, you could stagger your recruiting. Now you can't. Now you've got April and May are all the transfer portal. Then you got to get back to the high school kids and the junior college kids in June and July. And so there's really, one of the things that college basketball coaches, a lot of them are getting out of the business because of the portal and because of what's this done to your lifestyle. We don't have time off. So I tell Smitty, you know, he's got daughters that are really good volleyball players. You need to be with family. You need to go. He left Indianapolis on Saturday and drove to Columbus to watch his daughter play, because we don't get that chance in this profession. I'm not complaining about it. It's our profession, and every profession has their great things and their you know, things that are challenging. Every profession does, and these are some challenges for us. So as a coach, you have to take some time away, and the only time for me is, you know, a Wednesday or a Monday. You know, when we're I had all day yesterday and everything to do my Youngstown work, to do my prep. It's the second time we've played them, so it's not as an extensive prep. So I could take 3 hours today before the radio show. I wasn't going to drive home. I live in Detroit now, so I was here, so I went. So, that was today. The other thing is until you go to bed. Well, I don't think anybody in the middle of their basketball season as a coach goes to bed. I mean, I fall asleep on the couch a lot.
A lot of series of naps.
Yes, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and you're into it. And I mean, if you text me at 5:30 in the morning, you're probably going to get a text right back because I look at this damn phone and I'm on it all the time. I wish I wasn't. I hope that answers Marty's question. Last one. Talk to me about, this is from the compliance, Golden Grizzlies compliance. Kampe, talk to me, Kampe. Talk to me about the unlimited transfers. The compliance group chat is lit right now, but I want your thoughts. I'll let Smitty answer this, and then I'll add on with, it's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Only thing I want to say is I'd like to know how lit a conversation between compliance coordinators is. That thing's got to be just on fire. But,
I don't know what lit means, so
that's the good advantage of having teenage daughters. I know what lit means. So.
All right, so this whole show tonight was a little different, a little screwy.
We got through it, though.
But we're done. It's 7 o'clock. The music hasn't gone on in my thing, so I didn't realize what it is. We'll talk about this compliance with Neil next week, okay?
All right, we are wrapping up tonight from RJ.
Are you going to say whelp?
Well, there we go. Actually, Neil texts me for the pregame show all the time. Like, can we meet at this? And so I started saying right back, of course. And he was like, hey, I'm going to have to start charging you for that. So now he does, I go, yes. That's my new thing. So, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We'll see you next week. And whoa.
Thanks, everybody. That was a little weird.
Hey, I took the show today, so that's how he was going to be here. I'm going to watch the other time. Right down players go. Guess what, Rick? You don't get one of these tonight.
We'll see you guys Wednesday.
Yeah. Be careful driving home.
Yeah. Doesn't he like say at the end, see ya?
Yeah.